welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be having a look at this new mixed media paper that I've bought. I've actually bought things from this make before. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Gerstaecker? I think it's a German one, and I've got it through Great Art. So I was on there looking for some other things and I saw this and I thought it would be quite nice to have another mixed media paper to have a go with, because I work a lot in mixed media and it's quite handy to have, you know, a few pads around. So it's an A4 size. Like I say, I've not heard of it before, so I thought I would give it a go. So it's 250 gram mixed media and acid free, so it should be quite archival. So I haven't opened it before, so we'll have a quick look. And I'm not doing anything really planned today. I'm just going to have a go with the inktense. So let's have a look. So first impressions, it's nice and thick. It's not that smooth. It is smooth, but it's got a tiny bit of a grain in it, if you can see that. So what I'm going to do is, I do this quite often with my pads, is just use a bulldog clip to keep them down, just in case it does warp, because obviously it's not that heavy, so it won't take masses of water. I'm just going to make sure that's in shot, yeah. And I'll just do a very quick drawing with it with some inktense. So I'm not going to use any pencil, I'm just going to draw straight onto the paper with the inktense blocks. And we're going to be doing a poppy. So all I'm doing is wetting the brush and then dipping it straight onto the blocks. So those of you who haven't got them, this is what they look like, and they're from Derwent. So basically I'm just wetting my brush and then lifting off the colour, just to get a quick drawing down. Okay, so a few petals going in different directions, another petal peeping around there. And then we'll pop the centre in. And they've got quite a distinctive shape to the centre of poppies, haven't they? This little, I don't know what you would call it, it's like a seed pod, isn't it, that's starting to develop. So just using the inktense quite lightly with plenty of water at the minute, just to get the shapes in before we start putting extra colour on. And then the stem, when you're drawing a flower stem, just imagine where it's fastened at the back and then come through and draw what you can see. So no pencil guidelines, and it's a good way to have a practice sometimes, just to paint straight onto the paper. Okay, so now I'm going to start and intensify some of those colours, one petal at a time, and painting in the direction that the petal's going, and leaving some of those veins showing. And I've actually got it a bit too uniform, the edge of the petal. It's quite jaggedy in places, so I'm just going to make that a bit more jagged on the edge. So we can start and look a bit more in detail at each petal now that we've got the basic shapes of the whole flower in. I apologise if I go quiet. I'm not great at painting and talking at the same time, which is quite often why I do a voiceover, but every now and again I think it's useful if I just talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it, to perhaps remember more what to say to you. But like I say, it's not easy talking and painting at the same time. So whilst that's still wet, I'm going to think about some shadow colour in there. So I'm going to add a bit of purple. I'll just mix a little bit in the palette with some of that same red that I've used to make a darker colour, just so you get some light and shade in it. and see where the folds are in these petals. So move your hand quickly, get some nice lines in, and we'll leave that one petal for now and we'll go on to another one. So this one here, you can only see a tiny bit of it actually peeping over, so we'll just put a tiny bit of red in there. And then this one's bending over in this direction. So a bit of negative painting around that seed pod. Like I say, working quite quickly, and I'm standing to do this so that you can work nice and freely, get your arm moving. It's not as easy working freely when you're videoing because you've not got the same space to move around in when you're worried about the tripod and camera angles and things. So when you're doing it, you'll have plenty of space to make some nice big sweeping movements for these petals. Again, just one or two little jaggedy edges on there to make it a bit more lifelike. Then it's actually quite smooth around there. And again, whilst it's still wet, I'll pick some of that darker colour up and put some shadow in there. Actually, now I'm looking at it, I think I want it to be coming, looks a bit flat on the top. I'm just going to have it coming a little bit further round. And although there isn't a white line along there between those two petals, there's a petal behind. I am actually going to leave it like that so that we can see that there's a distinction there between the petals. And the same here, just leave one or two little bits of white so we can see that that's the start of another petal. Again, it's got a bit of a tear in the petal there, so make that shape. I'm going to come back afterwards and put some more black or darker colours in, because in places it's got some real dark colours in that centre. So a big difference with the Inktense compared to the watercolours is the drying time. They dry really quite quickly to the Inktense. You can see by varying the amount of water that I'm putting on my brush in between strokes, we're getting some more intense red and some lighter areas as well. That's going to be quite a bit darker under there because obviously the petal above it's casting some shadow on it, so I'm going to get more of that purple. Now we're seeing the underside of this petal here that's curled up. It's a bit lighter on that edge where it's catching the light, so we'll leave that with more water, whereas here it's curving up that way, so get some shadow under there. And we'll come back later when it's a bit drier and put some extra detail in those as well. The great thing about the Inktense is it's permanent as soon as it's dry, so you can layer it up and put some extra on top without disturbing what you've already done underneath. So if you're not entirely happy with your drawing, you can sort of alter your drawings a little bit once you've got going. See how I've hardly got any water on my brush there at all, and you get that really rich red colour. So by varying the amount of water and the depth of the red, you can get a different, you know, to differentiate between each petal. Makes it a bit easier. Again, some more purple. To come out here. And while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to go back to the green in the centre. Try and keep this colour nice and strong now. Get a bit of distinction in these shapes. Very distinctive shape that it has there. And these, I don't know what you call these bits, I'm not sure whether they're like little, sort of a case from the seed pod, I think, isn't it, or something like that. So very little water now, just a little touch of purple in there. I can just see some purple towards that centre. And actually one or two of the petals have got black marks on them, part of the markings, so there's one there. This isn't actually a black that I'm using, it's I don't know what colour you'd call it really. In a way it's a bit like a Payne's grey, I suppose. I'm going to get more of an orangey red now. In fact, we'll go for some orange on top of this red that we've already got there and get it a bit brighter. Keep your brush going in the direction of the petals, as if it's, you know, drawing the direction that the plant's growing. And I'm not stopping to let things dry. I'm just having a bit of fun trying this paper out, seeing how much water it'll take, see if it works well with mixed media, with the Inktense. And then another day we'll come back and try something else on it. So I'm not worrying too much when the colours touch each other and merge in. And I don't know whether we want a background on this or we don't. I'm not quite decided. So keep going in the direction, like I said, of the petals. So this one's coming out towards us. So move your brush in that direction. And you can start and tidy up anything that you think needs it. Be a bit more precise with your brush strokes than we were earlier when we were just blocking in that colour. I don't like that shape there. Sort that out a bit. Can you see here where it's the paper's starting to cockle? Obviously I've used an awful lot of water on, probably more than they intend you to use on this mixed media paper. But because I've got the bulldog clips on the end, it should be fine, and when it dries it'll flatten out again. But because it's cockling, that was just running down there a bit, so I've just got a dry brush and lift it off, so we've still got that distinction between those two petals. Now the Inktense, it's not easy to lift off compared to your watercolours, but you can lift it off while it's still wet if you're quick about it, and I think actually that little dot up there's dried, but I'm not going to worry about that. But if you do it while it's still wet, you can lift it off a little bit. I'm just going to go for a bit more of the red just to intensify it in places. So straight from the block, and this time leaving the lines of the veins so we can see them much more. So I'll come back to this paper again next week sometime and do something else. I'll use a different media and see how it fares with that. Before I put a link or anything into it, we'll see how we get on with it first. Just lacking a bit of shadow in this last petal on under here. Needs a bit more. So again, I've not mixed too many colours, keeping it quite simple. The purple, the red, the orange, the dark for the centre and the green, so that's just the 4 colours. No, 5, sorry, I can't count. Like I said when I was doing the flower video the other day, I think what did we do? We did it over Christmas rose. If you want to be more precise and you don't want to, you want to have crisper edges to your work and much more detail than I do, then just let it dry in between times. So I think I'm just going to get a touch of yellow just to lighten it all up a bit. I'll just pop that on there to lighten that green. And just in a couple of places where the sun's perhaps catching it, I'm going to just pop a little bit of yellow. And I think we will just put a quick background colour on. So what colour should we use? A light green, I think. It's quite a yellowy, pale green. So thank you very much for watching. Like I say, very quick, no drawing, just having a go with the Inktense just to see how this paper gets on, and I'll come back to it next week with something else. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's always good to have a bit of a practice drawing flowers. And if you want to have a go with the Inktense, just painting straight onto the paper without any drawing, it's a good practice. So you can see how it's running there because it's not dried. Like I say, if you want to leave it to dry in between, that's fine. But I just wanted to have a bit of a play with them. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and let me know how you get on with that in the comments below. Bye for now.